All right, folks, welcome in. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. Joining me is my buddy, my friend. He is somebody who is absolutely killing it, blazing his own trail in the industry. My man, Dan Mitchell. How we doing, my guy?
Jake, I'll tell you what, I really appreciate you for letting me come on and chop up this game. Now, I have been following you on X all week, and I'm definitely getting that sense of nervousness, especially around this Rams and Bills game. But I'll tell you what, dude, my biggest concern is that this Buffalo Bills team has a sense of complacency. And there are some things that this Rams team does very well that I think the Buffalo Bills could significantly improve on. So I don't think this is going to be a walk in the park for the Buffalo Bills, as I have been seeing a lot of Rams fans on the internet suggest. So I take a step back and don't think it's going to be like a massive, three-score differential. I think this Rams team is going to get some wins ultimately. So I'm excited to
Yeah,
unpack it.
yeah, no, it's a really interesting game because it's one of the rare games where I didn't pick the Rams to win,
Yeah.
and I know it sounds weird because it's like they've lost 6 games. What do you mean you pick them to win every week? Not normally, but
Yeah.
it's weird. This team is way like more talented than the record, but I question if they are better than their record would indicate because
Yeah.
talent's great and all, but it's not been smooth sledding this year. I mean, a lot of injuries, but also when you do have health, there's been some inconsistencies. So we're gonna get into that. Before we do, guys, just want to let you guys know that today's live stream is brought to you by Prize Picks. You can use promo code JKBogan and get $50 instantly, whether you win or lose when you play a $5 lineup. So be sure to get in on that. The link is in the description below. But Dan, I think the big thing here for the Bills to worry about
Mm.
is if that Rams offense that's only had one touchdown on the first drive of the game this year,
Mm.
if that Rams offense can do that, the Bills have struggled in the beginning of games. I
Yep.
think both teams are very similar in that they do a nice job of adjusting at the second half.
Mm.
But if the Bills get down early on, that's really the Rams' only chance.
Mm.
Dan, I have these crazy numbers here.
Let's
Mc,
go.
according to at rclemente2121 on Twitter, McVay's Rams are 26-7 when they score a touchdown their opening drive, and 26-28 when they punt, including a 12-15 record when they have a 3-and-out on their first opening drive. So this isn't, of course. Let me unpack this real quick. It's not like they got the ball first only. This is their first opening drive, whether it's at the end of the first quarter or the beginning of the first quarter or the middle. Um, where are you on
Yeah.
the Bills going into this game to start? Do you think they're going to get that stop on this Rams team that has only had one touchdown the opening drive this year?
So here's the problem with the Buffalo Bills defense, right? I don't think it's as bad as a lot of people that are overly concerned on a week by week basis, but I also don't think that it is as good as people like to sort of put them on that one pedestal. Here's my theory on Sean McDermott. What Sean McDermott likes to do is that he likes to see the opposing offensive coordinator and or play caller's best pitches at the beginning of the game by itself. I'm not going to go out there and say that I think Sean McDermott allows teams to march down the field and score against him. But I think a lot of the times what he likes to do is that he really hones in on this Buffalo Bills identity of, listen, we're bend but not break at the beginning of, especially in the game, first half. And he likes to own this team's identity of taking the ball away. Right now, we're number one in the NFL for turnover differential. We're averaging one or two on each and every single game that we have played so far. But we're going to have to sort of set aside that identity because nothing is more frustrating than us. Um, Perfect example was probably that Baltimore Ravens game, week 4. We had that exact same strategy. We were just like, you know what? Let's see this team's best pitches here. Let's see if they can march down the field, and then we will make adjustments. Unfortunately, we're relying on our offense to be able to go shot for shot for them all 4 games. I'm confident that Buffalo can do that, but adding an extra layer Stafford and company do wonderful against zone coverage. And that is a Sean McDermott defense right there. So we're going to have to stop messing around and not necessarily go on ahead and throw our best pitches out there defensively. But yeah, that is certainly a massive concern. But luckily, I do feel confident that I think that the Bills and company can go shot for Stafford until Sean McDermott can actually make those adjustments.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Bills. I actually found a lot of similarities between these two teams, both really good second half teams. I think really the issue is that the Bills have all the firepower in the world to come back from a bad first half, whereas the Rams, they've had a lot of those great second halves, but it's been too little too late, right? Just
Yeah.
the offense hasn't been humming, whatever. I found it really interesting at fball_insights on Twitter posted this defensive coverages chart.
Mhm.
And it, obviously if you watch the tape, then you kind of have an idea of what this is. But looking at the Rams and Bills going into week 14, this is taking into account weeks 1 through 13 and what kind of coverages that they ran. The Rams run cover 0 3% of the time. Uh,
Mhm.
Man cover 1, they run that 19% of the time. Only 1% cover 2 man. You don't really see that very often with the Rams. 12% cover 2, 35% cover 3, 12% cover 4, and 14% cover 6. Whereas the Bills, they run 1% cover 0, 14% cover 1. They run 4% cover 2 man. They run 19% cover 2, 30% cover 3,
Mhm.
16 cover 4, and 10% cover 6. So you see what I'm saying is I do think they're similar. I think the Rams obviously run a little bit more cover 3, but altogether, I think they're very similar teams in that aspect. And they have a familiar player. Taylor Rapp is in the
Yeah.
back end of the secondary. I gotta ask you because I've been watching the Bills. I mean,
Yeah.
I watched their last 4 games, I believe, on all 22. But
Mhm.
for the Rams fans that keep asking me, I want to hear it from you. Okay,
Okay.
has Taylor Rapp improved from his days in LA? How good is he?
See, I'll tell you what, man. He probably has accounted for about 3 or 4 touchdowns completely stopped. And I'm not even talking about just like a touchdown, like a go-ahead score here and there. He has accounted for 3 or 4 game deciding sort of stops.
Damn.
He is stepping up exactly when we need him to. Like one in particular when I was watching in person Bills and Jets, there was one play where Brees Hall absolutely ended up tearing one off, but he made the touchdown saving tackle. And then ultimately, Aaron Rodgers ended up choking in the red zone. Surprise, surprise. But he has been doing this game after game after game. Now, the problem is that he plays very physical. And I love that because like you need a hard hitting safety out there like Taylor Rapp. The problem is that he has accounted for 2 of our players being injured for a couple of games, right? Like he
That sounds
actually ended
familiar.
up hurting Bernard. He hurt Taron Johnson. He plays super physical. He's doing everything that we need him to do. He is an absolute threat when it comes into stopping the run. Sometimes I wish that he wouldn't sort of over pursue because sometimes he's so aggressive. I think that he takes like a bad angle. And sometimes like we'll see a running back just go on ahead and just blast past him. But he's been nothing but fantastic for us. We ended up drafting Cole Bishop. I think the plan for him is eventually once Rapp ends up leaving, I think that he is his replacement. But he stepped in, man. He really has. That was our biggest concern going into this season was losing out on Poyer, was losing out on Hyde. We knew them as the identity of the Buffalo Bills defense for 5 or 6 years. And Rapp really ended up stepping up to the occasion, if you will. But yeah, man, listen, he's been a godsend right to the secondary.
And I mean, I know Matt Milano came back last week, didn't quite look ready to go, although I
Yeah.
would say this week will be a little bit different. Plus, they're not going to be
Mm.
playing in, snow. Um, are there any players on this team that my audience definitely doesn't know? And maybe they know the name, but they don't know what they represent. Are there any of those type of players on this Bills team that, we should keep an eye on for this week?
Yeah, most definitely. When I look at matchups, obviously with Cooper Cup, he is going to be lined up against Taron Johnson, who, in my opinion, is one of the best slot corners in the NFL. I'm not saying that he is going to completely lock down Cooper Cup, but I think this is going to be one of the best slot receivers he has played so far as he has become one of those really big names within the defense. Um, Christian Benford as well. Right now, I want to say that he was like third ranked in the NFL for overall zone coverage. He has been locking down receivers such as like Tyreek Hill, like wide receiver ones all over. So I'm very interested to see how that matchup is going to go up against Puka. So we're gonna have to see. And then obviously our middle linebacker Terrell Bernard. He's gonna be massive, especially with the rushing attack over in LA with Kieran Williams. He's aggressive. And I did notice, and like that was actually one of my keys was just to make sure that we really end up throwing hands anytime that Kieran Williams breaks that line of scrimmage. He has 5 fumbles on the season, and I think Bernard and him is going to be definitely a massive matchup. Super excited. Those 3 names, watch out for those guys.
Yeah, I got it's funny, I was going through my notes. I mean, Greg Russo, obviously everybody knows him. If you don't, then you just don't really watch football on a
Yeah.
even more than a casual level. Um,
Mhm.
Ray Davis, I think, is definitely somebody to look out
Yep.
for. Amari
Mhm.
Cooper just feels like he's just ready. Like he's ready for
Yeah.
that breakout game.
Yeah.
Dalton Kincaid is out, or
He
sounds like he's
is.
going to be out.
Yeah, he's out.
Dawson Knox has been a threat in the red zone throughout his career. He's
Yep.
been kind of that just reliable option. I believe he caught a touchdown against the Rams the last game in 2022. Um, now, looking at just this the scope of this game, because I titled it basically how are the Rams gonna, because whether you realize it or not, the Rams have not beaten the Bills since 2012. I was at that game. It was the coolest day of my
Yeah.
life.
Mhm.
Sam Bradford game winning touchdown going head to head against Ryan Fitzpatrick. Um, so looking at, I think, how they can beat them. And of course, I have 34-24 Bills. So let me be very clear. I think the Bills are winning this game. I think they're
Mhm.
going to the Super Bowl, Dan, if you ask me.
I love that.
I do.
I love that.
I do. And you know what? I think
Yeah.
people should, I mean, unless you're like a Kansas City Chiefs fan or somebody in the AFC that has a chance of going to the Super Bowl, I think people should want that. I think
Yeah.
it's a great fan base. It's a great culture that's been built by Sean McDermott, who is probably the most underrated head coach in football right now.
Yeah.
And Josh Allen. I mean, he is the poster child of what a true franchise quarterback on and off the field exemplifies. So
Mhm.
I think people should be rooting for that if their team's out of it. And I think you're going to end up playing the Eagles, and I think it's going to be the LaShawn McCoy Bowl.
It's the LaShawn McCoy Bowl going into it. Man, listen, I like have been talking to Bills Mafia a lot this week, especially after winning the AFC East as early as we did. And I said, look, the biggest thing for us, because like what completely derailed us last year were key injuries on the defensive side of the football. Last year, through 12 games of the season, we were 6-6, fighting. A lot of people in our community were already looking at mock drafts. Everyone thought that it was over. And we ended up going on this miraculous 5-game win streak, and we ended up winning the AFC East. The problem was is that we literally were putting everything that we possibly could on those last 5 games. So by the times that we ended up getting into the playoffs, we had third and fourth stringers, and we had a guy off of the couch that was our middle linebacker, and we asked him to cover Travis Kelce in the divisional round of the playoffs. So the biggest thing for me, I want us obviously to take the trip to New Orleans. And if we get there, I want to win it. I don't want to be the team that is 0-5 in all Super Bowl attempts. I would rather lose to the Kansas City Chiefs in the divisional round again, opposed to that, surprisingly enough. But I could do with a couple of injuries on the offensive side of the ball. We've already proven that we can still put up 30 points without some key pieces. But if we were to lose Bernard, or if we were to lose Taron Johnson, for example, or if we were to lose one of our perimeter corners, I think that it could be derailed very quickly. So it's all going to determine on whether or not that we could wrap all 3 of those prospects, of those players I put in absolute bubble wrap. That is the absolute key, Jake. I am super confident about several of the games in the AFC. I would love to see the Ravens again because we would be fully healthy. No one likes to acknowledge the fact that we lost out on our 3 best defensive players against the Ravens. Same thing when it came down into that Houston Texans game. It's all about health for this squad, man. So as much as I want us to get the number 1 seed, I'm not nearly pounding the table thinking that that should be our top priority. Our top priority is, for the love of God, walk into the playoffs at least at 95% health. I could care less if it's the 2nd seed, the 3rd seed, the 1st seed. Just be healthy. That's my thing.
If the AFC ran through Buffalo, that's a pretty good home field advantage.
I agree,
to say the least. So
yeah, I agree with our fans just throwing snowballs all over the place. Some beat reporters and
you missed out,
linebackers. And so I saw Fred Warner being upset about that. He got a snowball in his face or something when he was walking up the field the other day. But it is what it is.
Well, I'm sure there are people upset that Fred Warner's punched quarterbacks and gotten away with it. So
yeah. Yeah, look at that. He deserved a snowball to the face,
Yeah. So yeah, it's actually kind of funny because had I gone to this Bills game based on the track record I have this year alone going to games, whatever team one of the teams that I saw ended up in the championship. So I went to the not Final Four. I went to the first round or second round now of the March Madness, and I watched UConn, and they went and just absolutely trounced everyone. And then I went to the Yankees-Orioles game. The Yankees ended up in the World Series. And unfortunately, I didn't go to Rams-Bills, but I did go to Rams-Eagles. So one of those teams is going to be in the Super Bowl based on, my luck. So all jokes aside, though, this is how I think if the Rams are going to beat the Eagles, because I think a lot of people want to know, because I got accused of it when I had Z-Bot on. And they're like, you're just absolutely glazing the Bills. Like, give us something about the Rams. Like, all right, fine. Okay. If the Rams are going to win this game, they're going to have to do some different things. What I would personally do is use their cornerback, who they don't even use. As of last week, Akello Witherspoon, you see the jersey behind me. I would use him as the spy. I think if you could have a guy that's athletic enough and is a good tackler and is physical, and you could use that guy, put him in the middle, and make sure you cut off any avenue of Josh Allen running the football. I like that. The other thing I would do is I would use 13 personnel, like the Lions do. Now, I know right now Taylor Decker's out, but when Taylor Decker is healthy at left tackle, Dan Skipper is their 6th guy. I don't have to tell you that because everyone talks about the whole reported in, reported out, whatever. Yeah. Dan Skipper gets about 9 to 10 when they're have their full offensive line. He gets about 9 to 10 snaps a game on the offense in that 13 personnel grouping. The Rams have had success running the football, and you could run against the Buffalo Bills as evidenced by the 49ers.
You can.
But the Rams have a $18 million a year player on the bench in Jonah Jackson. Why not use him in that capacity? And then I would say the next thing, they have been trying. They have. But they haven't had the pass protection. And this week, luckily, they have the same starting 5, the starting 5 that they would have starting if everybody was healthy, twice in a row. The first time all year, they've had it now twice in a row. We started to see the first half, they looked bad against the Saints. It led to them not even scoring points. The second half, they scored 21 points. They scored 3 times in the red zone. That has been something that has plagued the Rams. And they did a really nice job in adjusting. I think you saw those guys kind of gel as that game went on. So I think really, if you're a Rams fan, I think the hope is they're going to use that 13 personnel grouping. The offensive line is good enough in pass pro now, and they're all acclimated. That might be a little bit of a huge ask on 2 games together, but they're a little bit more acclimated where now you can have a longer developing play. And that's the thing, is that a lot of people are all like, well, why don't they throw, deep balls down the field? Why do they lack the explosive plays? And to be honest with you, their offensive line hasn't been fully healthy until last week. I mean, that's 12 weeks with not a fully healthy offensive line. You can't run those long developing plays because Stafford can't do 5 to 7 step dropbacks without getting, slammed. So I think this week, I think they get back to it. And I'm going to throw something out there. I think Tutu Atwell, number 5, is going to catch a bomb of a touchdown in this one. I do.
So I got to pull up my prize picks right there then, huh?
Yeah, you do.
I got to pull up my prize picks and take Tutu Atwell over half a touchdown, baby. I think that's almost a lock.
Yeah.
It's I mean, honestly, man, I see some data from this Rams offense, and I have no doubt in my mind that like you guys are going to be able to put up points against this defense, right? Because again, like I said, what our identity is, a lot of the times we live and die with we are a ball hawking sort of defense. We're going to attempt to take the ball away from you, bend but not break. And a lot of the times I think that will go to our detriment. So if you were to able to like really run a couple of like successful defensive stops on the Buffalo Bills, and if we continue that overall identity on defense, then I think this game will be getting Bills Mafia sweating, especially in play action, right? Like, especially if Kieran Williams can go on ahead and hold on to the football, like no turnovers at the end of the day. We've already established that this Rams team is wonderful against zone defense, deadly in play action. One of these days, this is going to screw the Buffalo Bills, is just honing in on the identity. Just be like, yeah, whatever. Like, we're fine with letting a running back get like 150 yards against us, but we're going to like make sure that we snipe the ball away at least once or twice, and our offense is going to march down the field and just take advantage of those opportunities. So as long as ball security is a number one priority for LA and they can go shot for shot, then I wouldn't be too scared about this game. I still have the Bills winning, but by no means do I think that it's going to be a blowout.
Yeah, it's interesting. Just hearing your take, it definitely feels like what you're saying is going to be what ends up happening. That's why I have 34-24. I mean, whether that's, a 27-24 game and Josh Allen punches in at the end of the game or whatever, like, I think it's going to be a fun game. It's going to be more fun than the game I was at against the Eagles. I can tell you that for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I think the thing that makes the Bills so dangerous is I said this to Z-Bot, and I've said it all over, all throughout the week. This is not the most talented team that McDermott's had, but it is the best team. It's the way that they play.
I love that.
And
I love the way you just put that.
They are the best Bills team in the Sean McDermott era. Not ever, because, Jimmy Kelly and Thurman Thomas, they're pretty good, right? Andre Reed.
Yeah.
But
it's not the best team, but it's the best quarterback.
In
my opinion.
Well, he's probably the best guy. He's probably the best quarterback in the league.
And Bills. Oh, wow.
And
I like that.
Well, I want to be honest here, because Josh Allen has gotten better and better and better with his decision making. And the reason he doesn't have the stats, and I want to make this clear, they don't want him running the ball as much, so he doesn't do that as much. And they don't want him throwing the ball as much. They want to have a balanced offense. And I'll say this, I think Ken Dorsey cost his team 2 Super Bowls. And I think Joe Brady, and it's a good sign. Like, when the Bills get anybody from Carolina, it just works out. Sean McDermott, now Joe Brady.
It does.
Bad organization. But Joe Brady has this balance to his offense that is concerning. Like, for the Rams. I mean, if they were that Ken Dorsey called offense, I would actually give him more of a shot in this one. The reason being is because, you have to worry about the big plays, and the Rams have given up, I think, 4th most explosive plays in the league. They also have been kind of bend, don't break. I mean, defense has been really underrated. I think everyone's going to look at that Eagles game and just think, oh, well, the defense is trash and whatever. I mean, that was Saquon Barkley. That was a snowball effect. That was that was 2 fumbles in that game. I mean, that's not really what they are. Since the bye week, 15, 20, 20, 15, or excuse me, 23, 22, 37, 14. Yeah. 37's an anomaly since the bye week. The Rams defense has been really, really good. And the thing about the Rams defense is that they get a lot of pressure, Dan. A lot of pressure.
They
Most
do.
in the league. And I look back, and one of your Bills fans in my comments is not like that I keep bringing this up, but I think it's a good kind of reminder here. Oh no, just in general. But he basically, I saw the game against the Colts, and I found that the Colts don't have the firepower, especially at Joe Flacco in that game.
Mhm.
But you saw almost like an ingredient or the ingredients or maybe the recipe on how to beat the Bills if you have an offense that can actually do it. The Rams actually were able to take the ball away from Josh Allen in 2022. I think they forced 2 or 3 turnovers in that game,
Mhm.
but they lost 31-10.
Yeah.
So we'll see how
It
it
was a
goes
questionable
down. But
call at the end of that game. Like, I'm not sure if you remember, but like, was certainly a questionable call, like right at the end with that game-winning touchdown.
oh yeah, oh well, no, that was 2020.
Yeah. It was 2020. Yeah. Excuse
That
me.
was
Yeah, with 2020 was the questionable call. Was that like a missed offensive pass interference or something?
so yeah,
It
so
was
it's
something.
fourth down, and Josh Allen threw it, and Gabe Davis like ran into like Darius Williams to block him, and
Yeah,
they're like defensive pass interference, and it gave him an automatic first down.
that was it.
And then
Yeah,
he threw the touchdown to
yeah.
I forget the guy's name. He's not on the team
Tyler
anymore.
Kraft. It was Tyler
Yes.
Kraft. Yeah.
Yes.
No. I definitely remember that.
After coming back from 25
Yeah.
down, like that was a
Yeah.
back. I've gotten over that. I've definitely gotten over that, but that was a backbreaker.
Yeah. Most definitely. Well, like, so I feel like that was the first time in my entire adult life, or I mean, really my entire childhood, where we got a call like that. So I was fine. I was like, okay, all right, cool. I'll take it.
Was
Normally
against
that's
the
against
Rams.
us right there. Yeah,
Love
normally
that.
that's against us back in the drought. So I was actually okay with that by the end of the day. But it's going to be an exciting game, man. It's funny that like you keep bringing up Joe Brady, and like that's like half of the reason like
That's my
why I
guy.
think it's so imperative for this Buffalo Bills team to win a Super Bowl this year, because he's going to be a head coach next year.
Oh yeah.
And a
He's
lot of
great.
people are like, "Oh, there's no way that a guy that's only been an offensive coordinator for a year and a half is going to be a head coach." And I always tell people, I'm like, "Guys, how many vacancies will there be this offseason? How many vacancies will there be this offseason?" All right? And not everyone is going to pick a defensive-minded head coach, right? I think there's going to be a team, and so I'll go out and say it. I think that Joe Brady is either the head coach for the Cincinnati Bengals and or the New Orleans Saints next year. I'm calling it now. It's going to happen. So have to do whatever we can to endure and savor what he brings to this offense. Have
If
to.
the Bengals fire Zach Taylor,
Yeah.
that is a perfect situation for
Oh,
Joe
yeah.
Brady to just be reunited
He's
with Joe
reunited.
Burrow and
Yeah. He's reunited
Chase.
with him from LSU. Absolutely.
It's just that would be absolutely insane. And I'm sure that obviously you would probably hate leaving the Bills, but it's like you leave
Yeah.
Josh Allen, but you get Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Like,
Yeah.
it's somewhat of a fair trade.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, coaching goes a long way, and it's not just play calling and all that. But that would be very interesting there. I see a few comments here. Is Higbee playing today? He is not. They're holding him out. Although Sean said last week that he's probably ready, but they're trying to be safe with him, which I get. I mean, anytime you take a helmet directly to your ACL and MCL, I mean,
Yeah.
he's literally Dan. I don't know if you remember the hit Kirby Joseph had.
Dick.
I my least favorite player in the league.
It's Kirby Joseph.
Yeah. I hate him.
Oh,
Sports
man.
hate.
Oh,
I don't
man.
hate anybody, but sports wise,
Yeah.
I sports hate him.
Yeah. Most definitely, man. I've definitely been collecting quite a few opposition from Lions fans recently.
Oh yeah, just buckle up for next week.
I'll
Be
dude.
I'll be on your
Watching.
side of the line. Where you were at war. I'll probably jump in there because
Yeah,
Oh,
most
good
definitely.
Lord.
They ended up going insane when I was just like, okay, like we can call that an illegal pick play, but let's be honest with you, Watson didn't even see him over there. He just, yeah, dude, like dude was just running his route. Like dude was just running his route and he clipped Kirby Joseph and he sold it. Come on, let's be real.
Oh yeah,
But-
he's selling it. And the thing that's funny is Taysom Hill, not funny. Taysom Hill's out for the year. They shredded his knee, but it's a bang bang play where he's running, and keep in mind he's not a quarterback, right? When you play that position, you're not going to get like the quarterback, thing. So he's running and trying to get a first down, and Kobe Durant hits him low because, I mean, basically they're just trying to make sure he doesn't get the first down. The difference is, and Lions fans are using that like, oh, see, he's dirty. He's just like, he's worse than Kirby Joseph. It's like, no. Kirby Joseph will see a player in the open field and have like 10 seconds before he makes contact and has a chance to just make a form tackle. And every time you will see him do that like Simpsons meme where the guy just like pencil dives through like the window and right into someone's knee. It looks ridiculous. Tucker Kraft dealt with it. He actually escaped, so I'm really happy for him.
He watched a lot of tape on that one.
He called it out before the game.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, he's taking out some of my brothers. And it's like, he's right. I mean, Hawkinson and Higbee. But yeah, I just wanted to answer that. We do have a Lions fan here, very dedicated survivalist, Amber. She's in all of my live streams.
That's good. What's up, Amber?
So what's up, Amber? Obviously, no disrespect to you, but yeah, I don't like Kirby Joseph. And then there was one here that I wanted to answer. Okay, who do we root for between Arizona and Seattle in order for us to win the division if we lose to the Bills? That's a great question by Natalie.
So that actually is a great question, and I'm going to add an extra layer to that. Like, is this game in your mind, is this basically your season, or is there still a way? Because obviously this NFC West is still very close, right? A lot of things could happen.
I wrote this game off.
Did you?
Yes. So even when I thought the Rams before the season were going to win the Super Bowl, I had them losing 2 straight to the Buffalo Bills and the 49ers. Because I felt like that was really tough. I mean, the Rams haven't beaten the Bills since 2012, just like the Rams, for whatever reason, suck against the Dolphins. No idea why. But the Rams hadn't beat the Bills since 2012. Physical team. I was thinking physical team, short week, going to Santa Clara. I could, obviously thinking the 49ers would be like really good. And I thought they would lose those two. Now I think that the Rams lose to the Bills and they win out, but
I love it,
but we'll see. I mean, I just think, and I know some people might disagree, but I don't know how you couldn't want the Rams in the playoffs if you're trying to have the most exciting playoffs. I mean, the Rams, the Bills, I mean, that's the thing. Like, say what you will about the Rams and, they're analytically, they're in the middle of the pack, right? But they have Matthew Stafford. They have Cooper Kupp, guys that have done it before. They have Puka Nacua, who is turning out not to be a one-year wonder. Shocker. Kyron Williams, right? Defense, a young defense, despite no Aaron Donald, they have guys that can rush the passer, and they're creating more pressure than anybody in the league. I just don't know how, if you're a football fan, you couldn't want the Rams. Unless you're a Lions fan, you probably don't want to see the Rams a third time. I will say that. But with Natalie's question here, I'm going to say I'm not going to root for anybody in the NFC West, but I'm going to say Arizona would be the beneficial team. And the reason being is that while some people would look at it as like, oh, well, this is giving Arizona life that they currently don't even have. They've lost 2 straight. It's just not great. They're 6-6, and they currently have the tiebreaker against the Rams. The Rams, in a sense, after the Bills game, really control their own destiny. What you don't want is Seattle to get that one up, another win, and put them, apart even further. Because if you lose to the Bills, you're 6-7. If Seattle beats Arizona again, they're 8-5. Yeah. So that's the thing, is that you're playing with fire at that point. I know Seattle is going to play Green Bay, and they're going to play Minnesota, and they go on the road against the Bears, and they play the Rams. But even if the Rams beat them again, if they lose to the Bills and Seattle wins out, the Rams beat them twice in the year, Seattle would have more wins, right? So I think, Dan, for me, I think both sides, I mean, you could say the Cardinals have an easier schedule. That's fair. I think if the Rams just honestly win every game, and just obviously not the Bills game, I don't think it really is going to matter, because I think it'll just work itself out. Yeah. But I guess, I don't know. You can't go wrong either way. If the Cardinals lose, that's 3 straight. They're probably feeling like down in the dumps and probably not coming out of that. Yeah. And if the Seahawks lose, it stops them from getting 8 wins, which is good. But I'll tell you right now, you know what I'm rooting for? And Rams fans might not be happy with this, but for our sake, our NFC West roundtable show, I want two NFC West teams in the playoffs. I want I like
Ah,
Washington. I have a lot of respect and I love Rio, but I think it would be great for our show if we had two NFC West teams and one of those teams replaces the Commanders as the 7th seed in the playoffs.
interesting.
What's
Interesting. So
what's even
two,
more interesting
yeah.
is that Seattle, if they beat the Packers, they would have the tiebreaker, and Seattle could get as high as the 6th seed and play the winner of the NFC West, if it's, say, the Rams, in the wild card round. So that's still
So,
possible.
so a playoff win for the LA Rams potentially. Look at that.
I do
It's
think
crazy, man.
that there are teams they don't match up well against. Like, I don't think they match up well against teams that dominate the line of scrimmage like the Eagles. And you would think the Lions, but that's been decided by overtime and
Yeah.
1 point.
Mm-hmm.
Overtime with a fourth string left tackle. But yeah, it'll be interesting. And kind of to wrap this thing up, what are your because I think people are probably interested to know. You've followed the Rams a little bit this year. Obviously, they're not your team, so I understand that. But you covered the NFL.
Yeah.
How do you see it going down for the Rams the rest of the year?
So I'll be honest with you. I think that your schedule is super favorable. And the good thing is that it's wildly competitive right within this NFC West division. And while the NFC conference in general, it has been a bit more even as far as that competition is concerned. I'll tell you what, I do think that you're going to need some defensive heroics. Like we have seen teams like this in the past just turn it on when it mattered most, right? Like when the defense showed its struggles. I know this Rams team struggles stopping the run as well. I do know that there are some question marks, particularly in your secondary at the end of the day, but health has to be the number one priority. I am not counting out this Rams team, even if by the time this game is over with, say the Bills end up winning 30-17 or anything along those lines. I think that you are in a division right now where it's literally anyone's game at this point. So we're not
Except maybe the 49ers.
First, yeah. Except for the 49ers. We did end up seeing that. So they were talking about giving Brock Purdy an extension. I kind of laughed. I feel bad for Jesse. But it's really anybody's game outside of the San Francisco 49ers. It's just about getting hot at the exact same right time. So I think you have the talent offensively to really be able to hang with anybody in the league, but you just have to hope that there's some unsung heroes on the defensive side of the ball that can get you there.
I like that. Yeah, I really do think they have the talent to hang with anybody. They can beat anybody, but they can lose to anybody. I mean, we saw the Dolphins game. We saw the Bears game. That one just left a really bad taste in my mouth because you're talking about a rookie quarterback. And but if they don't make the playoffs, there was a lot of those moments throughout the year. We all knew it. This could be the game that says, if we only won this game, that's just the way the NFL works. And, it's been unfortunate. It's been frustrating. And even before the season started, they were the first team to have an injury. Darion Kendrick, ACL tear, out for the year. And you're like, oh, no, not again. Because we watched this in 2020. It's funny, or 2022, excuse me. After the Bills game, and keep in mind, they were hanging their banner up that night. So it was a huge night. Von Miller comes across the aisle, gets his Super Bowl ring, goes back. It was kind of funny. But then they lose 31-10 in front of the world on the first game of the year. And that, to me, I thought going into that game, those two teams were going to play in the Super Bowl. This was a Super Bowl preview.
Yeah.
The Rams then come back after a crazy game against the Atlanta Falcons. They almost blew it. They were up by a ton and then whatever. And then they just had injury after injury after injury decimate them. Stafford didn't make it through the season. They end up claiming Baker Mayfield. It was a wild year. Yeah. And I feel like this year's been a combination of kind of every year Sean McVay has had except for the Super Bowl season. So we're going to see if this team is like last year's 2023 team that ripped off 7 of the last 8, went to the playoffs. Or is this a team more just going to miss the mark? We'll find out. But, Dan, appreciate you coming on. Appreciate everybody, of course, for watching. And you guys can go and follow @RealDanMitchell over on X/Twitter.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, you can go and check out his YouTube channel, Instagram, and Twitch, all Dan Mitchell. Dan, you're the man.
Thank
You
you,
already
bro.
know that. Like I tell
Thanks,
you all the
man.
time, but
Yeah.
what you guys are doing with Roundtable Sports, I'm really excited about,
Yeah.
and I'm happy to be a part of it. And keep in mind, you got a lot of fans because I know you're not the host anymore. We love Zbot to death.
Yeah.
But you were the host, and you still got a
Mhm.
lot of fans on this side of the aisle, a lot of fans on
Hell
this
yeah.
channel. So don't forget that. There are a lot of Rams fans that know who you are because of that. And,
Perfect.
they're still obviously a big fan of yours.
Yeah. Well, guys, listen, I definitely appreciate y'all missing me over at the NFC West roundtable, but who knows? Maybe if Zbot like needs a day or two off, then I will come back and I'll make an appearance here and there. But Jake, honestly, man, I really appreciate you having me on. It's always good talking ball with you. Super excited to see how this game plays out. I'm just hoping that this Buffalo Bills team does not have a sense of complacency since we already won the AFC East. We will see how it plays out. It's any given Sunday sort of league. And yeah, let's go from there.
I hear you, man. So that's going to do it. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment on your way out. Dan, best of luck to your Bills. Regardless,
sir.
We may be enemies today.
Yeah.
But after this, I am very much rooting for Josh Allen to get a ring. As
Absolutely.
long as the Rams are in the Super Bowl against him.
Yeah, for sure. For sure, man. I totally get it. I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. So we'll see you guys soon, but take care and be sure to check out today's sponsor, Prize Picks. J.K. Bogan will get you $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. You guys take care. See you soon.